Once upon a time, in the heart of a small African town, lived a young woman named Sarafina. She was the epitome of grace and beauty, admired by everyone who crossed her path. Sarafina's life seemed perfect. She came from a wealthy family, had a prestigious job as a receptionist at a reputable firm, and was engaged to a man who adored her. His name was Alan, a man of integrity who treated Sarafina with utmost respect and love. Her parents approved of him, and the entire community often spoke of their impending marriage as a union made in heaven. Sarafina's days were busy yet fulfilling. As the receptionist, she was the first face people saw when they entered the farm, and her warm smile never failed to brighten the days of those around her. Her meticulous nature often led her to stay late at work, ensuring everything was in order before she left. Alan, always supportive, would wait patiently outside the office to pick her every evening, a gesture that became a comforting routine for the both of them. As their wedding day approached, Sarafina's excitement was mixed with a growing sense of anxiety. In her community, tradition demanded that before a woman could get married, she had to undergo a ceremony to confirm her purity. Sarafina had always upheld these traditions, and Alan, respecting her values, had never pressured her. But as the day of the ceremony drew near, her nerves began to fray. Despite knowing she had remained pure, the thought of the ceremony and its implications weighed heavily on her. She knew of women whose weddings had been called off and they were banished from the community after they were found impure. She had never seen or heard of them again. The week before her wedding, the dreaded day arrived. Surrounded by her family, Alan, and the entire community, Sarafina underwent the ritual. The moment she saw the serious face on the elder's face, unlike her usual smile, she knew all wasn't well. Sarafina here has brought shame to Mwema's family. She is not pure, the elder said. A gasp rippled through the crowd, and in an instant, Sarafina's world crumbled. What do you mean? I know my daughter. We taught her well, and she has always stood by the values we taught her, her mother defended, shocked. Can't it be a mistake? Can we go through the process again? I'm sure it's an error, her father added. No need, because it gets worse. Sarafina is pregnant. The elder dropped another bomb. She's what? Everyone exclaimed, shocked. Pregnant. The word kept ringing in her mind. She could not be. She had never seen any man naked, and she had always upheld her values. So what was happening right now? This had to be a mistake. How could this be? Why are you quiet right now? Give me an explanation because I do not understand. Alan, her fiancé, demanded, hurt and angry. It can't be. I cannot be pregnant, she kept saying. It can't be. The elder performed the ritual and she confirmed it. Did you cheat on me, Sarafina? I've been respectful to you. I've never held or touched you inappropriately because I knew of our traditions and your values. And even when I was on the brink of losing myself because I am a man, I respected you. So why bring this shame, betrayal, and heartbreak to me, Sarafina? Why? Haven't I been the perfect man? Why did you choose another man, Sarafina? Who is he? Who is the bastard? Alan said, angry and hurt. He demanded to know who she had betrayed him with, for he had never touched her. The realization that she was pregnant with another man's child shattered him completely. He never called her Sarafina. It was always pet names like Love, Angel, or Fina. He really was hurt and angry. How could she rectify this? She needed damage control right now. Pregnant? Sarafina, really? How stupid could you be? And the worst of all, Alan denies responsibility. So it means you have been lying to all of us, her father said, livid. Alan has been a good man. We taught you well. You have everything that every girl wishes for. What more do you want? You accepted to proceed with the ceremony despite knowing the truth. You could have spared us the pain and shame before. What have you done, Sarafina? Why would you bring shame and dishonor to us in front of everyone? Her mother cried. Who is responsible for that bastard in your womb? Who is the bastard? Her father shouted. Her parents were livid, their faces twisted with anger and shame. They accused her of dishonoring the family. The disappointment in their eyes cut deeper than any words could. Alan, the man who had loved her dearly, was devastated. As Sarafina stood there overwhelmed by the accusations and the shock of the revelation, memories she had buried deep began to resurface. Memories she had tried to forget. She was taken back that fateful night, a month ago, the night she wished she could erase everything from her memory forever. It had been a night like any other. She had stayed late at work as usual, but Alan had been delayed and couldn't pick her up. Confident in the safety of her community, she had decided to walk home alone. But as she made her way through a dimly lit alley, a sense of dread began to creep over her. Suddenly, a man in a hoodie appeared before her. He greeted her, and though his tone was friendly, something about him felt wrong. She responded politely and tried to walk away, but he blocked her path. The next moments were a blur of terror and pain. She had screamed for help, but no one came. The man violated her, leaving her shattered and alone in the darkness. She couldn't remember how long she had stayed there crying before she picked herself up and walked back home. She hadn't seen his face, and in the aftermath, she had been too ashamed and afraid to tell anyone, only feeling dirty, angry, hurt, and blaming herself. She had tried to bury the memory, but now it had resurfaced with a vengeance. She was pregnant for a man who took advantage of her own innocence. What a cruel world! I don't know who the father is, she replied finally. Is this girl serious? How many men have you cheated me on to the point of not knowing who the father is? Alan said, angry. I do not know because I didn't want to. I'm a victim of a terrible crime, a heinous one, she said, crying. What are you trying to say? Her mother asked. A month ago, when I got late from work and Alan couldn't pick me up, I was raped, she cried. It felt like it had been weighing heavily on her. She had finally said the words she had tried not to acknowledge. Gas filled the air. Is that the best excuse you could come up for your betrayal and shame? You're shameless, Sarafina, her father said, shocking her. He didn't believe her. Why didn't you tell us before? You went on with life as usual, her mother said. How was I to say if your reactions are exactly what I feared? You do not believe me. Would you have believed me then? We all have heard of stories of women being molested and justice never happens, as most of the time, the victim is the one always accused of leading to the crime. They were wearing short clothes, calling attention to themselves. They were seducing the predator. How was I to say it when no one could believe me and I have no evidence? I never even saw his face. Our community too is not to be a safe place. Where was I to start? You do not know the nights I cried myself to sleep in anger and hurt. How I recoiled every time someone, even Alan, touched or hugged me. You do not know the shame, hurt, and anger one feels as a victim. The questions of why it happened and how could I have prevented it. It's never easy revealing a shameful thing, she replied, crying. You're just making up excuses. I don't believe you. You've changed, Sarafina. You and I are done for good, and I wish you and the man you chose and your child a happy life. The wedding is cancelled, and I hope I never, ever see you again, Sarafina. Alan replied. I swear, I'm not lying, Alan. Why would I create a huge lie? I love you so much, Alan. Please don't do this to me, she pleaded, crying. She could not lose him. You have brought shame onto us. You are no longer our daughter, and never step foot here again, her father said in finality. For the shame you have brought onto our community, Sarafina, your wedding is called off and you're banished from this community forever, the elder said. Father, mother, please don't do this. I'm not lying, she pleaded, but they all walked away, never looking back. In just a matter of minutes, Sarafina lost everything, her family, her fiancé, and her place in the community. Alone and pregnant, she moved to a nearby town where she rented a small apartment. She continued to work as a receptionist, though her once bright smile had faded. Every night, she cried herself to sleep, mourning the life she had lost. She tried reaching out to her parents and Alan, hoping they might reconsider, but they had blocked her off, cutting off all communication. They had left her all alone when she needed them. Desperate and despairing, she even considered terminating the pregnancy. But when she arrived at the clinic, she found herself unable to go through it. Over time, Sarafina began to accept her situation. She started therapy to help her move past her trauma, which was weighing her down and diminishing her light. She also started attending classes for expectant mothers and made a new friend, Zainab, who was also pregnant. Zainab was a beacon of light in Sarafina's dark world. She was cheerful, supportive, and had a way of making Sarafina laugh even when she didn't feel like it. With Zainab's encouragement and therapy, Sarafina began to enjoy her pregnancy and even started dreaming again. Zainab knew about Sarafina's passion for wedding planning and gave her the opportunity to plan her own wedding. It was Sarafina's first job as a wedding planner, and she poured her heart and soul into it. The wedding was a huge success, and soon word spread about her talent. She started getting more clients, and before long, she had enough work to quit her job as a receptionist and focus on her wedding planning business full-time. Sarafina's business thrived, and soon enough she opened her own office. She invested her money wisely, bought her own home, and became financially independent. When she finally gave birth to her child, she named her Gift, for that was what she was, a blessing in the midst of turmoil. The moment she held Gift in her arms, Serafina's heart swelled with so much love beyond she ever knew. She vowed to give her daughter the best life possible, to be both a mother and father to her. Life as a single mother wasn't easy, but Serafina was resilient. She juggled her business, her friends, and her duties as a mother with grace. She found so much solace in God and therapy. Watching Gift grow brought her immense joy, and every milestone, her first word, her first step, was a reminder of how far Serafina had come. Despite her success, there were times when Serafina felt lonely. Her friends tried to set her up with men, but she wasn't interested. Her traumatic experience had left her wary of relationships and men, and she was content focusing on her daughter and career. But then during her friend's wedding, where she was a bridesmaid, she met Bryce, a handsome and respectful man who was among the groomsmen. Bryce was charming and persistent. Bryce was charming and persistent, but Serafina kept her guard up, giving short answers and maintaining her distance. She was sure she would never see him again, but fate had other plans. A few weeks later, Serafina was hired to plan another wedding, and to her surprise, the bride was Bryce's sister. As they spent more time together, Bryce's persistence began to wear down her defenses. He was patient, understanding, and made her laugh in a way she hadn't in years. Eventually, Serafina allowed herself to open up to Bryce and they began dating. She told him about Gift and he was thrilled to meet her. When they finally met, Bryce treated Gift like a princess, showering her with affection and love. Gift adored him and they quickly formed a bond. Serafina's friends were happy for her, and for the first time in years, she felt hopeful about the future. She fell in love with Bryce's heart and soul. 2 years later, they married in a beautiful ceremony with Serafina's friends walking her down the aisle. Though she had hoped her parents would do the honors, she had long accepted that they were no longer part of her life. Serafina and Bryce's honeymoon was a dream, one for the books, a vacation to Italy, the country of love. She fell in love with him more and more. Alan had been her first love, but Bryce was her person and her greatest love. She knew they would be together forever. She had told him the whole truth about her being molested, her parents and ex-fiancé turning their backs on her, and how she had been left to start all over alone in a new town. He had vowed to find the culprit and make him pay. However, a few months later, Bryce began acting strangely. He came home late, he avoided her touch and seemed distant. Serafina's mind raced with worries. Was he cheating on her? Had she scared him off with her past? One evening, she waited until he came back late again and decided it was time she came to the bottom of the truth. Hear it from the horse's mouth. "Bryce, why are you treating me differently?" she confronted him. "What do you mean?" "It's late, Sarafina. Go to sleep. I'm tired," he replied, uninterested. "See, you even call me by my own name, unlike the pet name you gave me, Bambi. You come home later than usual. You don't allow me to even hug or cuddle you, and you don't talk to me anymore. You used to love to do that. When was it even the last time we had a proper conversation?" "What is wrong? Did I offend you?" she asked. "I'm just tired. Can we do this tomorrow?" he said. "That is the same excuse you've been telling. You know what? I'm stubborn and I hate not knowing. If I did something wrong, tell me so that I can apologize and change. Do you not love me? Are you cheating on me?" she confronted. "What? Where did you get that idea from?" he replied, shocked. "You've been avoiding me and you're coming home late. What am I supposed to think?" she said, hurt. "I love you so much, Sarafina, but I hate myself for hurting you. It's not you, but it's me. I'm a monster," he said. "What? What do you mean? You haven't hurt me and you're not a monster. I know you. You could never harm a fly," she said. "You won't be saying that when you know of what I did," he said sadly. "Did you beat anyone?" "You're scaring me," she said. "You should be scared of me. I did worse. I told you I would find the person who humiliated and harassed you. I'm that monster. I'm the one who took advantage of your innocence." He dropped a bomb. No, this couldn't be true. Not her Bryce. He could never be her offender. She would never marry her an offender. He must be joking. "That is not a tasteful joke, Bryce," she replied. "I'm not lying. I'm so sorry. I was under the influence of drugs. I've tried to forget and forgive myself, but I cannot," he cried. "You, Bryce! Drugs doesn't justify you taking advantage of me," she screamed in pain. "I know. I'm so sorry, Bambi. Please forgive me. I love you," he pleaded. "No, you don't get to call me that again. You shattered me, Bryce. You broke me. I was never the same since that day. I'm in therapy up to today because of what you did to me. I lost everything because of you. I became a parent when I wasn't ready. No one believed me. Because of you, I had to start all over. Did you know how many times I cried myself to sleep? I blamed myself and I even contemplated suicide. You broke me beyond repair, Bryce. Is that why you wanted to know me and date me? To calm your conscience?" she cried. "I'm sorry. When we met, I didn't know. When I tried to find your offender is when the memories resurfaced and I hated myself for it. I still hate myself. I love you so much, Sarafina. You and our child gift. Please forgive me and give me another chance to make it better, to rectify my mistake," he pleaded. "Only God can forgive you, Bryce. I fell in love and got married to my own nightmare. Oh my God. This is too much for my cup. I love you, Bryce, but right now, I don't like you. You brought a lot of pain and anger to me. I need space from you," he said, getting up. "Where are you going? It's late. Please stay." "And for how long do you need space?" he asked, worried. "I cannot stand you right now. I might do something I might regret. I need as much space as I can to stop hating you," she replied angrily. His words felt like knives to her. The man she had fallen in love with, seen forever with, a father figure to her daughter, was actually the same man who destroyed her life. Sarafina felt as if the ground had been ripped out from beneath her. Unable to stay in that same house where their memories lied, she took Gift and fled back to her old house, her mind a whirlwind of pain and confusion. Gift, too young to understand, kept asking why they had moved and Daddy wasn't with them anymore. Sarafina couldn't bring herself to explain. She didn't want to burden her daughter with hatred for her father. Her best friend Zainab was shocked on learning the truth and urged her to report him to the police, even though so much time had passed. But Sarafina was torn. She still loved Bryce, despite everything, and part of her just wanted to forget. The next day, her in-laws came begging, asking her to talk to Bryce and drop the charges against him. Charges? She had not reported him yet. But they shocked her when they told her that Bryce, consumed with guilt, had turned himself into police and confessed his crime. His family, one of the most influential, was rocked by the scandal. Despite their pleas for leniencies and her love for him, Sarafina knew she couldn't have peace until Bryce was held accountable for what he did, so she proceeded with the case. The case proceeded smoothly as Bryce confessed the truth. He was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment and they let him out. He apologized profusely to Sarafina. Her heart bled for him, but she had a deeper inner peace for the first time in years. As she got out of court, she was shocked to see her in-laws waiting. "Father, mother, I'm sorry, but I had to do this for my own peace. I'm sorry. I hope one day you can all forgive me," she said. "No, we are sorry for what our son did. He had no right to," Alan's mother said. "We are also sorry for trying to push you to drop the case. We had no right and you deserve your peace and justice. So please forgive us," his father added. "We understand you and you're still part of our family. You and Gift, both of you have our full support," Vanessa, Alan's sister, said. Oh my God, they didn't hate her. They still loved and saw her as their family. She had found the best family ever. "Sarafina, oh my God, how are you?" "We heard." Her mother suddenly appeared. "Mother? Father? Alan? What are you doing here?" she asked, shocked. "We saw in the news and we thought to come to support you. We are truly sorry," her father said. "For what?" "Not believing me when I told you the truth, or abandoning me when I was at my worst and needed you. Your reputation mattered more," she replied angrily. "We deserve that and we are so sorry. All these years we had you in our thoughts. I tried moving on, but I couldn't," Alan added. "I called you guys, came looking for all of you, but all of you had disconnected your phones and moved out to new places. I forgave all of you, but in the end I found a better family, one that sticks with me and my daughter through thick and thin. I've moved on," she replied. "Daughter? We have a grandchild. Can we meet her?" her mother asked. "Not now, until I'm sure I can trust all of you and I'm ready to welcome you into my world," she replied. Life had taken her through mountains and rivers, but she was going to be okay. She had survived up to now, but she was happy that through all, she had God and her friends and a family who loved and supported her. And she had the greatest blessing, her sunshine, her daughter. All was well. She still loved Bryce and would wait for him as she healed. Lessons learned were very clear. Healing took time. The power of forgiveness and support systems are very crucial. Zainab and Bryce's family played a vital role in her recovery. And that is the end of the story. Tell me in the comment section what you learned. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the link with your friends, family, colleagues, and tell them to also kindly subscribe, watch each of my stories, leave a huge thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram at pesh_norma and TikTok at peshnorma stories. And below on my description box is the link to my other stories. I kindly invite you to check them out.